Here's how we turn raw bar stock into a premium rifle barrel. So the first operation in barrel manufacturing is you have to bring in your raw materials. All the materials brought in raw rod form, anywhere from 10 feet to 20 feet long, and obviously different diameters based off the requirements from the customer, as well as different types of metallurgy, whether it's 4140, 416R stainless, whatever those requirements are, they come in raw materials, and then the next step is the cutoff saw.
So I was getting these flush, it slipped out a little bit. I need to make sure that the space is true as possible, so that when I cut these, they're all the same length. That way the machining process is as concise and precise for everyone after me.
So after the raw material comes in, based off the requirement from the customer, whether it's a pistol length barrel, an AR length barrel, or a muzzle loading barrel, they're all cut to different lengths. And this is what this machine does here. It takes that raw bar stock, it cuts it efficiently to the length it needs to be for the finished product.
This gun drill right here, the actual machine dates back to World War II, but it's of course been updated to modern standards to allow a better control oil system and better tolerance on the barrels.
So it's really important coming off that cutoff saw to have a very flat face, because you're spinning the barrel at 3,200 RPMs to create the first hole that goes through the barrel. So this is the first process in creating the ultimate bore, is you got to get that deep hole drill perfect. So to give you an idea on tolerance, the industry standard is you have to hold 1/1000th of an inch on center for every inch of barrel. So obviously if you have a 20-inch barrel, think about how precise that tool has to be, because you have to be dead center on the center line of the barrel. Look at the size of this. Rick was saying this is the M2 50 caliber machine gun barrels. That's what they're making right now. That's a big boy. We put the hole through the barrel first.
Yes.
Now we're reaming for size and finish.
Correct.
There's three major steps in creating the bore of a barrel. You put a deep hole drill first. So basically you're plunging a hole through the barrel. The second is you want to get the finish of the barrel on the inside, and you want to get the size of the diameter of that hole perfect, and that is a ream operation right now. So you clamp the barrels in place, you put the tool in there, the reamer, and you spin the reamer and you pull it through the barrel, and that gives you finish and size. So I'll show you the difference between the three steps in the process. So you drill it, you ream it, you button it, but you can watch the finish change inside the barrels. So Jeff was showing here, this is just a drilled barrel here, and this is part of their QC inspection. So they do this on every single lot to make sure the finish, the concentricity, the dimensions are absolutely perfect, but hogging out all of that metal on the drill process, you do get drill lines.
Yes.
It's just part of the process, but that's why we're reaming it after that.
That's correct.
So then when we go to the ream, you can see it cleans all of this up, plus it makes not just the finish good, but the size perfect, ready for the button.
Correct.
And then put the probe in and show you after it's been buttoned, and now you can see the lands and the grooves, the finish is perfect, the geometry is perfect, and you know that's gonna be a super shooter.
That's all there is to that.
That's it.
It makes it sound easy, doesn't it?
Well, it's an art. What a lot of people don't realize, there's a recipe that goes into this.
That is correct.
Right, the speeds, the feeds, the dimensions, and there's a lot of technical aspects that go into making a barrel, but it also comes down to the operator. And obviously you gotta have, the tools have gotta be sharp, equipment's gotta be maintained, and somebody always has to be QC in the process, which is what Jeff's doing here. So the process we've been following here is your traditional gun barrel making, which is using a button to create the rifling. But there are other processes to make a great barrel, and one is cut rifle barrels, which you see in a lot of traditional muzzle loaders, as well as some really high-end target barrels as well.
That's one of the cutters. It's an actual cut rifle cutter. This is the head. It's on a big long rod like this one you see right here.
Yep.
It's in the machine, okay? So these heads just hold the cutter. That's all it does. This is a riser to push that tool up and down as it cycles. As it goes back out, it lowers down. When it
Drops down, pulls through, and then
down,
comes back up.
Comes up, goes through the barrel, drops down, goes back through, comes back up.
So it's literally cutting one groove at a time.
It's only a couple tenths still.
Yeah.
That's why it takes so long.
So think about this. This cutting tool here has to make 60 passes to cut one groove to the right depth. And depending on whether it's a 6 groove or 8 groove inside the barrel, then it's got to do that 6 or 8 times, rotating, taking 10,000ths off at a time. That's how you get the precision cut. And what's great is you don't have any stress in the barrel when you're doing a cut rifle barrel. Cut rifling has its advantages, but it's not for high production, high volume, precision barrels, and things that are very customized. The button rifling gives you that same precision, but in a volume atmosphere where you can produce thousands and thousands of barrels with the same concentricity, the same performance. Let's go show you how the button is pulled through the barrel. So deep hole drill and ream is the same whether we're gonna cut rifle to put the lands and grooves in or whether we're going to button rifle and pull the button hydraulically through the barrel. And I'm gonna show you that process now.
This is what we refer to as a button. It actually makes the groove in a barrel. So a switch fits what it is.
So this is being hydraulically pulled through the barrel.
Yep, under pressure.
It basically irons in
It does.
the groove inside the barrel.
That is correct.
Through pressure.
Yep.
So stress relieving a barrel is a critical portion to create an accurate barrel. And this is a 20-hour process. And it takes a lot of time to build the heat up and then to bring the temperature back down. And these are all pure nitrogen. There's no oxygen in here, so you don't want any scaling or rusting on the barrel to give you that perfect finish. But if you want a barrel that doesn't walk on you and one that is perfectly concentric from the outside of the barrel to the inside of the bore, you have to stress relieve them. So now we're done with the bore work. We've deep hole drilled it, we've reamed it, we've button rifled it, or we've cut rifled it, and now we've stress relieved it. So now all that bore work is done. Now we need to turn the profile. Okay, so you can see the bore work is done. They've been cut to length and finished here. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn the profile in the CNC turning lathe. Unturned barrel and turned barrel. So this is for the profile of the barrel, but at the same time it's doing the profile, it's also cutting threads or any other specific dimensions that it's needed. From this point, we're gonna go over to chambering. The chamber of the barrel is really important, and that is where your cartridge is inserted into the barrel, and there's a specific dimension, and that's how you have the engagement from your cartridge. And when the gun goes bang, and your bullet travels down the bore, all of that happens between the chamber and the bore. Now there'll be a lot of barrel manufacturers who may argue with me on this, but the two most important aspects of a barrel are the chamber and the crown. It's the first 3 inches of your barrel and it's the last 3 inches of your barrel. So this crown right here, and there's different geometries. There are target crowns. Obviously some are threaded for suppressors and brakes. There's different geometry based off of the bore size and what you're trying to achieve. But this has to be absolutely perfect and square to the bore to give you that ultimate in accuracy. So in this operation, we're taking the turn barrels here and we're cutting to threads because these obviously will be threaded into receiver, and then we're also chambering in the same operation. We do these one at a time right now. They have multiple tools that have to go in and cut these chambers and these threads, but they're all done on a CNC machine.
Well, it's been through the machine and this is a final visual check. I'm going to bore scope it. The finish looks nice to me. Everything looks smooth. That looks good. And then we also have a final process what we call we buff it. This will smooth out the chamber of any imperfections. Take my buff pad. Get out of here. Buff it out. That polishes your barrel a little better, as you can see.
So here's your chamber that you were looking at. You may not be able to see too much of it. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, that's impressive. You can see the transition right there from the chamber into the bore and how clean and how the finish is just perfect. Air gauging is an important process in the total quality of the barrel. Here you're able to measure what your total variation inside the bore is. So if you can keep a bore under 2/10 for your total variation of groove depth, you have a really good barrel. So that's what he's doing here. He can measure these barrels, so every time you change your tooling, you change your processes, you change your operators, you can come check the outcome of the product and understand that you're running to the consistency and quality that you need. So every gun designer likes to cosmetically change your gun to look a little bit different, and sometimes the cosmetics add some value. This is fluting on a 1022 barrel, so it does reduce some weight. It does add some structural rigidity. As you can see here, you know, with these flutes cut, that from the geometry of the barrel, it gives it a certain amount of stiffness, but it also adds a cosmetic feature that's really attractive to the consumer. TC puts a lot of flutes on their longer barrels that help reduce the weight and give it that really nice look, and it's all done on these milling machines. So this barrel is now complete, ready for metal finish. So it's been chambered, the bore work is done, it's been turned, your target crown has been machined in, the flutes are done, so this is ready for packaging.